So I actually just remembered Jason Mraz was a thing for me for a minute.
What?
I'm sad to admit that I was hot for him for a second.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually
No. Please do not do me wrong. Okay.
I mean, he's cute.
And I'm not talking about the fedora pictures.
I pulled up the wrong reference. He's only
I
wearing
said do
fedoras.
me right.
Fangirl Central. Welcome everyone to the second episode of Fangirl Central. Wow.
Like literally, we're so excited to be here with Joy Sunday.
Oh my goodness.
I'm so excited to be here with the Millers.
in the flesh.
Let's just introduce ourselves. Let's go ahead and do it.
Before we forget,
I'm Amanda.
I'm Amber.
We're sisters.
We are sisters famously known for forgetting to introduce ourselves.
And this is Fangirl Central, the show where we ask the question, how was being a fangirl central to your identity?
Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
We love a title that is tied in.
We're here with Joy, and you might know her from Wednesday.
If
she
you don't
plays
get on Netflix.
Bianca Barclay. A little bit of backstory. We went to USC together.
We did.
How did you
Survive.
Wow.
I'm so proud of both of you.
We are survivors of PWIs. You were in one of my first short films.
Yes.
It
Very
was-
proudly with Joy Fodu.
with Joy Fodu, the Joy Squared.
Joy Squared, one of my
Squared.
favorite short films of Sister Amanda. One of my favorites. I will watch it on a
Y'all
on a
should call
fun
each
day.
other Sister Amanda, Sister Amber.
I'm down, and
I'm going to start
I
calling
already
y'all
do.
that.
Amber already calls me sister. When you graduated USC, did you foresee your first breakout role being so fandom forward?
No, I didn't foresee my first breakout role at all. And in fact, it's funny to think of this role being a breakout. Somebody else said that to me today, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize that's what people think of this.
Girl,
because
wow.
I've been working,
Yeah.
since I graduated. So it doesn't feel like a breakout in that way where it's like, oh, she came out her mother's womb, a star. Like I had to work my way towards it. So.
As a fangirl, I've noticed that a lot of people, like with fandoms, in interviews with a question like, what's your reaction to this being your breakout role? They'll say the exact thing that they're like, I wasn't thinking about it, and I didn't know that this was what that was. And I think as soon as you get that question asked, that honestly might be. They'll also ask like, what was the moment that you realized? And I'm like, they probably just realized when you asked the
exactly.
question.
I just realized that with this meeting I had today. I was like, oh, I guess that's cute.
Yeah.
It's you know where those girls end up. So
Yes, it is. You've been consistently working, and I've been seeing you, and you've been working in front of and behind the cameras. So it is fun to see it coalesce, especially. I have to get my socks. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I have to get my socks in view. I'm wearing.
am I plain ass socks?
We're wearing.
Wow, I didn't get the pair.
We're getting.
I really didn't get the memo. Y'all have it on matching feet too.
We should have gotten to guess the pair.
Wow.
I first started wanting to be a filmmaker because I watched Tim Burton movies. And I watched Nightmare Before Christmas over and over and over again. And I was like, the style, the darkness, I'm emo, I'm 13. It's really speaking to me. But I identified with Jack Skellington because he was like this very sad, tortured artist who didn't feel like himself. But I didn't see people that looked like me. And so I told you this when you booked the role. I was like, if I was 13, I would be obsessed with you. Like, you have to know that this is what's going to happen.
That's
so
true. Wow.
Do you, like,
Whoa.
what a loaded...
Wow,
you
Joy.
You can't, like, I understand you cannot internalize that.
You can't conceive of it at all. There was one video of this girl who cosplayed Bianca, and that was pretty wild. Because I was like, I know me as a 13-year-old did not have anybody I could cosplay besides Jackie from Cyber Chase. That was who I was holding on to. But otherwise, there's nobody who looked like me. So that was really, really cool because, it was just... yeah,
That's
awesome.
surreal. That's like surreal.
And it's been really lovely. I've had a lot of friends who are like, "Oh, my niece is obsessed with you," or like really loves you, and it's just so nice to connect with them. And I don't know that I even realized how big of a deal it is because it never happened to me. Really.
Right. Like on the, you mean like reverse?
Mm-hmm. Like I never got to grow up with that kind of example.
Yeah.
Largely.
Yeah. That, I mean, it makes sense. Like us as fangirls, you just kind of have to like cling on to anything that you can try to see yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, Miley Cyrus sitting right next to you. Like, she was from Tennessee. We were from Tennessee. So we were like, oh, like, that bitch is me.
Mm-hmm.
But she's not.
Nothing like it. This generation has you.
Which is wild to think.
Like, honestly.
It's really crazy.
This might be the moment I'm realizing.
No,
this.
take a moment.
Now
because really and truly.
Let's take a moment because we go to Comic-Con every year. We could see people dressed as you there.
I'm probably gonna be there this year.
You're probably going to get stopped.
Yeah.
By
You
all
know.
ages.
Because that's like the center of fandom. When Wednesday dropped, it was like,
They took it and they accepted it, and then that's it. They said
everyone watch it now.
Yeah. They said we identify with this.
Yeah.
For some reason, this is now our escapism.
Yeah.
And once that age group finds that, that's all. That's they have like tunnel vision on it. It's like getting them through whatever they're going through at the time.
how was being a fangirl central to your identity? Like, how did it affect you psychologically?
Or
and
what
maybe
was-
affect like what you wanted to do with your life?
And it could be a range of things. It doesn't even have to be a TV show. It could be anything that you just connected to and use as escapism.
I know exactly what I connected to. Now that I know it doesn't have to be TV. I really connected with music growing up. And it was funny because I actually, like you guys, grew up in a really Christian environment, and my parents wouldn't allow me to watch a lot of things or listen to a lot of secular music. And so I grew up going to Yahoo, and they used to have a radio feature,
I remember that.
and you could listen to different genres.
Yeah.
And I would often listen to the gospel and R&B gospel arena. And so I grew up with like a lot of that, but also a lot of African Christian versions of secular songs that I would only find out 12 years later had secular versions of them. So the only way I'm familiar with Bob Marley's sound is through like versions of songs.
Okay, that is so interesting. That is,
And so I
wow.
I didn't grow up with No Woman, No Cry. I grew up with No Jesus, No Life.
Okay. Wow.
And so, but it was still like, it was so major for me. I mean, the music was still good.
Yeah.
I was listening to Mary Mary, their producer is Dark Child, who's also producing like all the girls.
Yeah.
Mariah, Brandy. So
They
like,
had
I
the
was hearing the
influence, connect.
sound, but I couldn't connect it. But I was still like, this is so good. Like listening back to back. So then I'm listening to Brandy as an adult, and I'm like, why? I texted my sister, like, why didn't you let me know who Brandy was?
Right.
Because I could have been like, I wanted to be a pop star when I was younger.
Yeah.
But then when I was like, I don't want to be Christian, it kind of went
And
away.
it was connected to that. Wow.
So when did music unlink from Christianity then?
When I was like maybe 9, 10. Okay, so what happened was my family's been in the same church for eons. And the pastor's daughter one day just gave me her iPod. I was getting to middle school. She gave me her iPod.
What version
And she was
it?
like the
The Nano.
not the Nano,
That
but it was
skinny
the
thing.
skinny one.
Okay.
Yeah. So she gave
The
me
tall
her
Nano.
iPod, and she was like, "Yeah, like you can borrow this for some time." And I was like, "Really?" And she was like, "Yeah." And so I borrowed it, and it had Reliant K, Switchfoot.
Oh.
Okay,
my-
those are
But it
Christians.
also had Tupac
Okay.
and like some other ones. And so that was my sneaky way of getting to listen to secular music, and that's how I weirdly got into Tupac and Portishead at the same time, kind of. And it was not because of her, but
Yeah.
the iPod was like that center. And that's how I got into secular music, because then it was like Tupac, and it was like the other side of, Reliant K.
Yes.
I would say I was
Sadie
pretty
Hawkins
passionate
dance.
about Reliant K actually at some point. I still know a lot of their songs, but Mary Mary was really like formative for me in terms of soul, and just that's a lot of the R&B that I like now very much is reminiscent of that sound. I would drive to church with like the choir leader or whatever, and my brother, because my brother played bass, And so I wouldn't be traveling with my parents. So they would play music in the car and they'd be like, okay, like, what do you want to listen to? And I'd be like, Mary, Mary. And they got so tired of it. But I could listen to them anytime. And I still do from time to time. I'm like, let me listen to some Mary, Mary. I could still sing all the songs, do all the ad-libs, all of them.
That's that
The
connect.
ad-libs are a
That's it.
huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ad-libs are a huge thing about being a fangirl. Sometimes I will only sing the ad-libs in a song. And
Wait,
people will be like,
same.
what song are you singing? This is not what's going on. Are you making
what
something
part
up?
are
And
you
I'm like,
doing?
listen to it, the background. Listen to her.
Right, listen to the bottom track, whatever's not on the top layer.
I think a Mary Mary song was what I was listening to when I first realized that music had layers. When I was in middle school, and I remember because I was listening to it a lot, and then I was realizing, oh, I'm hearing this different sound that isn't very forward, and that's really when I got really passionate about music, because I was like, oh my gosh, like it's doing so much more than I realized.
It's a soundscape. Like it's painting a picture in your mind.
Oh,
Like,
and then of course all the imagination that was going with it. So
the music videos.
The music videos in my head, girl.
Okay,
That's where I was first starring.
Yeah.
That's where the work began.
That's how you know. That's how you knew.
You
That's
were
how
starring
you knew.
in your own music videos.
But they weren't necessarily even music videos. Honestly, they were live performance art. Like that's what it was in my head. It
Yeah.
wasn't music videos. It was like live performances.
Like
that I
you were
wanted to do.
choreographing the whole thing.
Yeah.
The stage production.
And it
of
wasn't
all.
only necessarily me. I would have like choirs and shit.
the background dancers.
That's
everything.
so important because it is such a community-based
Yeah.
thing.
Visualize
Music,
it.
Like-
yeah.
I mean, also considering that I grew up wanting to be a pop star, that's probably also why. So I don't know if you know Stacey Orico.
Yes.
Also my girl.
Yeah.
Now I need to.
Now hold on a minute. Let me see if I have some of her on my own iPod.
Do a little.
And I famously call my phone my iPod still.
It's like, what do you mean your iPod?
Because
When she goes to Apple Music.
because I use Apple Music. Yeah, I have Stacey. I've stuck by her
gosh.
on my phone, and I was obsessed with this song for like
Stacey Orico
wait,
is
let me
that
see that-
girl.
let me see that album cover.
It was her and JoJo for me growing up.
JoJo's so important. Did you love Aquamarine?
I think I knew this song too.
No,
Have you seen it?
probably not.
What about Sky Sweetnam? Is that even the same genre? Tell me. No?
Do you know Barlow Girl?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm getting deep. I'm getting deep.
This is a segment of like fangirl culture with like being obsessed with random pop girls that are
Yes.
not remembered by history.
Right. Okay, yes. And that's something that's really true. Everyone will have a niche thing that people will be like, remember this? And people are like, oh my God, you just pulled something from the depths of my memory, my brain. But then you'll have them also putting on something that we all have like huge memory of or access to, like a random, like the That's a Raven theme song. And they're like, y'all remember this?
Or the Proud Family theme song?
Or the Proud Family. And it's like, yes, we remember this.
It's on Disney Plus.
It's everywhere now. It's not hard to get to now.
But yes, Sky Sweetnam is something of the recesses of the mind. Stacey
Yes.
Orico. I
wanted to
never
bring it
said her
up.
name out loud because I didn't have a community to.
Oh, I
listen
didn't
to her
either.
with.
But she was the only like pop girl that I could really listen to. And I remember one time I was playing this song, and my sister like peeks over from her computer. She's like, I don't like these lyrics.
Were they too
Fighting
secular?
words.
I think it was like some song. I forget what song it was, but yeah, it was just like slightly about love.
Oh no!
Yeah.
We can't have that.
We
in
can't
the, in
have
the
that.
House of the Lord.
No, not in the house.
What?
Wow.
Like what denomination Christian?
Yeah.
African.
Okay.
Okay.
We were in the Church of Christ,
Oh yeah.
which is like we take everything the Bible says literally, and it's like we think all other Christians are stupid for not taking the Bible literally, and so it was very extreme. And so I feel the same. Like it wasn't the same with secular music, but it was like if I hear Ashley Tisdale talk about getting with a guy at night, I'm scandalized.
We saw Hairspray and Zac Efron said, kiss my ass in the movie. And we after the movie, I said, Amanda, it's okay because I don't think he curses in real life. And then Amanda responded and she goes, Amber, I have to tell you something. I was reading this interview and he actually did say, and I can't even remember what the damn shit. It was shit. He actually did say shit in the interview, and it was really him talking. It was like, and so we really had a moment together where we were like, Zac Efron curses.
But you got to listen to Zac Efron.
Yeah, we got to.
Or-
Yeah. But it was like for us, like we felt morally wrong. We were like, but we love him and he curses.
Yeah.
And he's against our morals.
Oh my gosh.
We had to get over it because he was so handsome.
Did you have any celebrity crushes that you were obsessed with?
So I didn't prepare this, but I tried to think about it, and I don't know that I was ever obsessed. I think my 2 crushes that I could think of when I was younger, because mind you, I didn't get to watch BET or like, you know, a lot. So I wasn't very exposed to a lot of Black actors either. But I knew Disney was selling me something I didn't want. I was like,
He said this is fishy.
yeah.
This is fishy.
I'm not really into
Corey?
these blonde boys.
The blonde boys are Corey.
And what's his face? Jesse
Cody Lindley? Jesse
McCartney. It was a moment because I was like, ooh, the songs sound cute. But then I was like, no, it's not really working for me. So the only ones I could think of were Christian Bale.
I had a Christian Bale phase too.
And then Aragorn from Lord of the Rings.
He's hot too.
And so they're both like dark-haired brooding people.
Yeah, that was my type as well. It was like the bad boy.
And I think no, Viggo isn't from Wales, but like they're both in the same genre of European.
You could probably do a Welsh accent.
Dark, tall, and handsome, where it's like just a white man with Italian features.
Exactly.
What made you say Christian Bale is for me? Because for me, it was Christopher Nolan movies, not Batman. Like I wasn't attracted to him in Batman, but I loved him in like The Prestige.
Yes, for me,
American
I think I watched. He was the only actor that I knew was a child actor. I think so. I saw him in the Newsies as well.
Yeah, I love Newsies.
I've seen the Newsies.
And I watched American Psycho way too early, but I was just like, oh, it's Edge. You know, like love it. And it was real acting. So yeah, The Prestige. Yeah. Didn't have a clue who Hugh Jackman was, but I was there for Christian. So. Yeah.
Hugh Jackman was cute too.
Hugh Jackman came to me in a very late point in life, and what I mean by that,
you were gonna say he came up to you in person.
Oh no! But I didn't start caring about Hugh Jackman until The Greatest Showman, and it was only for that month, and then it left.
Wow. You know what? I was really into men who could sing. That was a thing for me. So I actually just remembered Jason Mraz was a thing for me for a minute.
What?
Yeah.
Ooh, what was that song? What's that song?
That is what?
That is blowing my mind right now.
What? I can't even
because
picture
I don't
Jason
even know
Mraz.
what that man looks like.
Right, I can't picture him at all. I can think of that song.
I'm sad to admit that I was hot for him for a second.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually
No. Please do not do me wrong. Okay. Right?
He's safe.
I can't vouch for him.
This is the safest space.
You might not be able to vouch for him now, but it's okay.
No, it's okay because I know that he had hit songs, and if
okay,
he could
because
sing
the thing
and
is,
it was the time,
he could.
then it's all.
Well, I don't actually even. I have to really look back because can he really sing?
Well, who knows?
But
can I tell you something?
But his lyrics though,
for a second.
Yeah, but like that was a manufactured, path. That was a beaten path for you. I did not have a beaten path for Jason Mraz.
You're right.
Nobody else was listening to
You're
this.
right.
Did you see?
I didn't told.
It was
the lyrics.
Are you talking about? Well, you done me in your bed, I felt it. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, yes, but he has other songs that I was like, I really liked it.
Well, he kind of looks like
let me look at
that
him.
Coldplay boy,
Chris Martin.
Mm-hmm.
No, he don't.
I mean, he's not. He's cute.
And I'm not talking about the fedora pictures.
I pulled up the wrong reference.
He's only wearing
I said,
fedoras.
do me right.
He's not
here,
wearing it. There's no
hair.
pictures of him not wearing fedoras.
Okay, but also if you look at that picture, don't he look a little bit like Christian Bale? So tell me I didn't have a through line.
Yeah,
I was
he
consistent.
had to have some facial hair.
Exactly.
Facial hair.
And long hair too. So I was very much I've always been into long hair.
Yes.
Oh, that is.
And that's not only on white men.
And like brown and sandy.
I love long hair too. I love a man who can sing, and I also love a man who can dance. Because not many of them can.
Not many of them can. Although, if a man who can dance means either Latin or African, I'm not doing any boogie.
What boogie?
What are you talking about?
Boogie?
I don't know, but the white man who can dance, I'm like, what does that really mean?
Okay.
I just mean people who can dance in general. And you're right. People of color who tend to dance better than white people. If that's controversial, sorry.
These are the facts.
But it's just part of our culture.
Amanda Miller
said that people of color can dance
better.
I just mean it's part of it's like inherently part of our culture to like if you move your body earlier in life, like you're just more comfortable with it. And I have a lot of white friends that are scared to move their bodies. I feel like
just
and
like out in public.
Yeah,
just out in public, and they have to have they need to.
They need to
be given permission,
yeah.
you know. I do have a Jason Mraz story, and it's going to take a very quick amount of time.
I want to hear it.
But we went to a predominantly white all-girls school in the South, and so I was like on this birthday party where they took like I'm telling you, a bus full of girls and boys to a farm. It was a get out situation that I was like, yeah, this is normal. I'm 12 and I'm going to a farm with a bunch of white people.
Who's to say it wasn't
and
a
there was
plantation?
only one other black. There was only one black boy there, and there were two black girls. It was me and my friend, and there was like a dance portion of the day. There was like a lake portion and a hoedown portion, and then it was slow dance. I'm Yours by Jason Mraz comes on, and the only black boy there, I will not say his name.
Even though he knows who he is.
Even though he knows who he is. Came up to, like, I saw him walking towards me, and so I turned my back so that he would have to tap me on the shoulder.
Wow.
Like, this
setting
tells
yourself
so
up
much
for
about my
failure.
personality, I think. But I turned my back so that he had to tap me on the shoulder. I turned around and was like, yes. And he was like, do you want to dance? And I was like, okay. And so we danced to I'm Yours by Jason Mraz.
Oh, it happened.
That's
And
really
I
nice.
thought that it
Lovely.
was very, I thought I was like so cool. And then the next slow dance came on and he asked the other black girl to dance with him.
he was
So
like-
I
At
was
least
like,
he was there for the black woman.
That's true, but
I mean,
he was making his rounds.
it's complex.
I think, okay, yes, he was there for the black woman, but he was there for all three of the black women at like a 16 white woman party.
But that's saying more than a lot of people in LA.
You're right.
You're right. And it's a different type of it's a different type of
You're
person.
right.
It's a different type of, because if I go into
I'm
a
thinking
situation,
about
You got to be fair.
if
I'm
I
thinking
go
about the comparison.
if I go into a
Okay,
situation
okay.
where there's a black boy and I'm the only black girl and we're the only black people there and he ignores me, I'm
That's
like, okay,
rude.
so I understand who
Yes.
you are.
Right.
How did we get on this?
So he did. Because this baby boy, because let's remember that, mind you, everyone, you guys were in situation, but this baby boy wanted to make sure all the black girls got a
Got
dance.
their dance.
I see that now, and now.
That's right, and we were friends. We had a
Right.
texting relationship. I'm embarrassed.
Oh.
It was a very small school, so like anyone who sees this knows exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly the birthday.
Exactly who I just called a baby boy. No, it's okay.
Goodness.
Sweet one. We see you and we understand you.
We appreciate you.
Thank you
Thanks.
for the dance.
Thanks for the dance.
Amanda Lane Miller, ungrateful to black men.
Since we're on the topic of being black versus being white,
Go ahead. Get into it.
The race war.
I just want to bring up.
We're listening.
I just want to bring up into the space, like, what have you ever felt judged by anybody for something that you like? Like, for example, anime.
Jason Mraz.
Okay.
And you see how this was a safe space.
Okay. Yeah, it was a safe space, and
It was.
we did encroach that. Comment below if you think Jason Mraz is hot. He's not hot. It was
Comment
random
below
to me.
your most favorite
I was
Jason
a
Mraz song.
13-year-old girl.
Exactly, like it's okay.
I could think of-
Searching for
it
meaning.
just came out of
Way
the
more
left
embarrassing
than a
field.
romance.
It came out of left field.
Who was your singer-songwriter of the decade?
of
the decade?
Okay, of the
Caucasian?
time.
Caucasian? Because I have a list.
Wait,
is why I'm
wait.
saying you
No,
can't
no,
be
no.
embarrassed.
Yeah, who's
we
your
have to talk
list?
about
Let
the
me see
singer
your
list.
list.
We have to-
At least mine had a hit.
Amber, I don't know if you have a list because it's singer-songwriter. It's not like people like the
Amanda
Jonas
said,
Brothers.
calm down.
I mean, I guess the Jonas Brothers did right there. They did right.
Singer-songwriter of the decade.
Like a white man who has a guitar.
Like, there's not that many.
It was Ed Sheeran. It really was.
But you
I
wouldn't
was
have
a
a
little
crush
too
on
old for Ed
him.
Sheeran.
I had a crush on Ed Sheeran.
Oh, this is
you know
news
this?
to me.
See? Okay.
Yeah, I had a crush on Ed Sheeran.
I really
This is a
liked.
safe space.
I loved
Thank you.
Plus. Plus, for me, my timeline of listening to things
My attraction.
that year of 2012, it was Plus. It was
Plus
his
is-
first album.
yeah.
Ed Sheeran's Plus. It had A-Team on it.
I don't know any of his songs.
In the class 18, stuck in her daydreams. Been this way since 19.
It plays as soon as it used to play as soon as you plugged in your phone into the newer
Joy
Cars.
missed A-Team.
You didn't know what A-Team was at all?
I could not tell you what it is.
Joy missed
now.
A-Team.
It's okay, Joy.
Let's move past it.
It's
I was listening
controversial.
to Ed Sheeran's Plus, then Bastille while I was writing my 5-paragraph essays on Sundays, and then Take Me Home, One Direction.
Oh, let me just go back because I also want to say some names. Ed Sheeran, other than Ed Sheeran, I did listen to 21 Pilots. Man, I listened to 21
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
But
that was
don't look at me
senior
like
year.
That
That was
Don't look at me
senior
like
year.
that. We were caught.
Talk about white
we
Christian
were in Tennessee,
bands.
Joy. What were we to do? They
No,
came to Nashville a
my
lot.
roommate was really into 21
Talk
Pilots.
about white Christian bands.
White Christian bands.
Reliant K, Switchfoot. I had to listen to 21 Pilots.
Post a black square in 2020.
I think one of their lyrics is like, it's like talking about looking at their person when they're sleeping, and they were like, "I love the slits in your eyes."
I don't even know what that line is. What is that line?
Is that the one that starts with the...
Stressed out?
Amber, that's not the subject of that song.
I know, that's the only one.
I was just like, not you making an allusion
Not even
to
a joke.
cutting. To say it's romantic when you look at me sleeping.
You know what? They did romanticize a lot of gross things.
They sang about suicide a lot.
Exactly. That's why I'm like,
lot.
why are you...
Yes. My other white boy songwriter was another problematic man, Panic at the Disco, and that was only for 1 year.
That's not a singer-songwriter.
Oh, what about John Mayer? Let's go to the classics. Let's talk about the
we're not
classics.
a John Mayer household.
Okay, I'm not a John Mayer household either, but at least let's go with the classics.
His head is huge.
Who about the singer-songwriters? You guys have not named
a
lot of singer-songwriters.
We weren't in. That's what I like. We weren't into singer-songwriters.
I was into
really.
real musicians.
We were not into. We
liked the Machine.
We drank the Kool-Aid of the Machines.
Yeah, we were like, it's marketed towards the little girls in the South, and that was us.
We have a show about it. I'm plugging it. Disney Vortex, all of April and May if you're in LA at the Legion Theater.
But we also grew from the Machine.
April 2023.
We are
2023. Now, I would like to talk about Tim Burton a little bit.
Talk about it.
Because Sally's dress is on the bed.
Joy is here.
And it is just important to me that I never saw myself in Tim Burton things. And the first huge main character black woman is my dear friend Joy.
That's a coincidence.
And
coincidences mean we're on the right track. Like, that's insane.
That's the universe speaking.
That's a strong coincidence.
I just feel like I was like, it was...
What is this accent that you do? Because I'm looking at her like you're from Tennessee.
It just comes out. I don't know.
Coincidence or fate? Because
I think they're synonyms.
I think it ties into fandoms that you might not expect black people to be into / black women to be into. But like, we love weird shit. Like, give it up for the alt black girls.
Right.
I honestly
you want to see yourself.
I will say that I was so pleasantly surprised at the reception that I got in the black community, and not even just amongst fandoms, but just generally across the board. I'm so grateful for how wide the audience was. But it has been really lovely to, it feels big-headed to be something that black girls can look to.
But it is.
But
it's a fact.
because there's such a dearth of it, like, it is
That's what happened.
So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Eloquent.
It's great. It's showing like a wave of our generation of like weird black girls coming into these roles, like making stories for themselves, like being in a Tim Burton thing. Like, we are weird. Like, I was listening to a Rico Nasty song and she literally name drops Invader Zim and Hannah Montana in the same line. And I was like, where's this been all my life?
Yeah.
Like, that's who I was when I was 13 and I didn't have community to like talk to it about. Cause if I went to an Invader Zim convention, it was all like old white people there. Like, and or like I would talk to the black people at school and they'd be like, what? Amanda.
Yeah, they're like, girl, stop.
You know what? That's really helping me think, like, what else would I want to see out of Black characters in this kind of fantasy or sci-fi space, because I find Bianca to be quite a sobering character, you know, in her mythology. Obviously, we don't know too much about her yet, but she is quite, you know, a heavy character.
Yeah.
I would love to see, I mean, not that she can't be that, but of any kind of character, just, you know, one with some more levity and, you know, with more fun and zaniness, because she does exist pretty normally in that world.
Yeah.
She just happens to be part of this fantastical universe.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see more characters like that, like an Invader Zim type character that's just like out there, because there does need to be that space. I mean, let me ask y'all a question. How did you find making a space for yourself to be weird and to be in the outlier? Like, even though you didn't have something to look at, and even just as part of the bigger conversation about representation, why do you think it's important specifically to have Black women characters to represent? Because at the end of the day, it's not, you know, materially changing things in the world, or do you feel like it is?
I think, honestly, for me, it was an accident. I think that I became so obsessed with these different things that I clinged on to kind of before I realized that I wasn't being represented, or that I realized like the way I was being represented or being like perceived by my peers. It was after the fact, when I started to hear comments, or when I got on Tumblr and started reading all these articles about like Black representation, all that stuff. Then I was like, oh. And I was like, that's why there's kind of a there's like,
a gap.
Yeah, there's a gap of like, oh, I love this so much, but I don't know what is missing. And I realized it after I was already obsessed with it.
As I got older, I loved like coming into my Blackness, like being able to embrace all parts of me. Like I felt like I wasn't able to do either when I was like back home in Memphis at this like very conservative, restricting place. I had to like kind of be normal in both ways. Like I had to be normal in terms of like white society, which was like this version of like a straight white girl. But then even among Black Southern people, I had to be a normal Black girl. And so it wasn't until I moved to LA and like I started becoming like embracing my Blackness and embracing my queerness that I was like, okay, I'm very weird.
Yeah.
And I want to see, I don't know. Like my taste doesn't quite line up with what's already out there. And if it does, it's like a bunch of white people that don't really like understand that there are Black people that have these tastes. And so I do think that it has tangible effects. To listen to Rico Nasty talk about Invader Zim and Hannah Montana and see that she's like, I think she's insanely cool, and she like can rap really well and dance really well and sing and like be this like bad bitch, but also she's so weird. And I'm like,
or like this white nerdy like concept. Same with Meg Thee Stallion.
Same with Meg, who loves anime. Same with Doja Cat. Doechii
mentioned Junie B. Jones in her song. That was amazing to me.
Lil Nas. Like I think it does have tangible change because it revolutionizes the way we see ourselves, and then it revolutionizes what we think we can do.
Yeah.
The possibility.
Releases boundaries,
or what you can say out loud.
That's really important.
Releases boundaries. Releases and like lets you. I mean, with me and Amber, like we've just started kind of like living out loud in this past year with Fangirl Central. Like traditionally, it's stuff that we would just say to each other and sometimes our close friends, and then people would be like, "Wait, Amanda, I didn't expect you to say all that about the Jonas Brothers." Not that the Jonas Brothers are weird, but like just like certain things that. Like, I don't talk about Invader Zim in public.
Yeah.
I used to not, but now I'm like, here it is. Like, this is all part of me.
Like, you don't need to know the details or, like, how many, like, fandom paraphernalia boxes I traveled across the country with. But I will. I'll proudly tell everybody.
I really wish that I had something that I was so passionately a fan of. I actually recently met somebody who's an avid collector of Alice in Wonderland memorabilia and has Alice in Wonderland, like, in a tower on his property, like, 174 translations of Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, wow.
And I just love the collection of it. And I hope that fandoms, and especially Black fandoms, can really begin to create this space and history and legacy of things like so with Black characters. Because that's what, you know, is important for progeny.
Yeah. Have you been lurking in fandom spaces? And if you have for Wednesday, is there anything you would like to touch on, elaborate, bring to light, say to the fans directly?
To the Wednesday fans directly, I think we can always do a lot more to support characters of color, Black characters, and queer characters. And I think that does happen in the fandom, at least for queer characters, but I'm not sure how much it does for Black characters.
Yes.
And in general with fandoms, right? Maybe even Caleb McLaughlin also spoke about this with Stranger Things. There's not a lot of visibility that these Black actors in this sci-fi or fantasy space, there's not a lot of attention that they get. Moses Ingram has talked about it. I'm sure a lot of the Marvel actors feel the same. John Boyega. A lot of people, struggle with it and being in these majority white properties. I think that's something fandoms generally can do more to be aware of. Especially if we say we care about, these social movements. I think it means a lot to also care about the stories that are being told about the people that you supposedly care for.
Yeah.
That's right.
Very well said.
Oh my goodness.
Very well spoken. Well, that was Joy Sunday.
Also, I love you.
And they love you, Joy. And we love you.
And we love you.
Love you guys.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being
This was
on.
amazing. This was healing, wholesome. I love a circle.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening and watching.
Triangle.
Trying.
Bye-bye.